Welcome back, everybody, to the Pop Culture Universe. This is episode 9 review of the Bad Batch series on Disney Plus. This episode is called Bounty Lost. What a great episode it was. So today's breaking this episode down is as per usual. It is Sol and myself. So how are you doing today?
Doing good. As you notice, different background. I'm in Louisville, Kentucky, not in Miami currently. I'm visiting some friends, having some fun. Watch this episode here in their house. I love this episode. Favorite episode so far. So wow. I'm so excited to talk about it.
Spring break, baby. No, it's not really spring. Just playing. But okay, yeah, I really liked it too. I thought it was loads of action. Story development was good. It looks beautiful. Lots about Omega, and obviously a kind of little twist with Lama Say as well at the end. But yeah, I know you just mentioned there. But any other thoughts on just a quick review of the episode?
Yeah, it was good. It was like I said last week that there was. I was like, oh, they're just gonna have bounty hunters. They're gonna fight each other, and then like literally this episode, we got that, and I was just like, yes, I got it right. And it was so exciting to see more Fennica, to see just like literally like every part of this episode. I was like, I'm so here for this. This is like the Star Wars that I love. So many interesting stuff. So many stuff with the Kaminoans that I'm like, ooh, is there going to be a civil war with the Kaminoans there? Like, is there going to be something that's happening? It's all very interesting stuff. And then that noise you heard was a cat jumping. So if you hear any weird noises, it's probably a cat doing something weird.
Okay. So you could have said it was a droid just running around the background. That would be cooler. But anyway, yes, there was a lot, as you said, loads to cover this episode. So we'll try and get through it. Won't keep you guys too long. But the episode starts off with Crosshair chasing the Bad Batch after they've left Braga. They're kind of both in their ships. The Bad Batch in one ship, obviously Crosshair in another. They kind of jump into hyperspace. This is the only time that we see Crosshair in the episode. You know, we see him with his bandages on, looking kind of still messed up from that blaster fire of the Jedi cruiser that they escaped from before. And then we see Omega being kept in a cell on Bane's ship. She kind of she offers to remove to repair some of the repair the droid at first, but then so basically we see so first of all, when they mention again seeing she has an exchange with obviously Cad Bane. He takes his kind of hat off. Obviously he looks cool. The music's great when he walks into shot. Every time I see Cad Bane, I think, oh, we're going to see Boba Fett. We're going to see that trade-off, that standoff. And then he explains that your friends won't be coming for her. I took care of that. And then he goes back and we see his transmission to Lama Su, who explains that they've established that she was the one that issued the kind of bounty against Omega to get her back, because she wants her back on Kamino, basically, to get her safe on there. And then we see Lana Say tells Lama Su they have a conflict of interest with Omega. Obviously, Lana Say is the the Prime Minister of Kamino, if anyone doesn't know. So Nala Say wants to extract Omega's DNA to progress with phase 3 of their cloning, so they can kind of keep their contract and finances with the Empire. And then he orders to extract the DNA and destroy her or kill Omega. And then obviously he establishes that there is a conflict of interest with Lama Su, so he orders another Kaminoan called Ton Wee. Ton Wee is the same Kaminoan who was in Attack of the Clones, who escorts kind of Obi-Wan around the facility, and then he has the interactions with obviously young Boba Fett and Jango Fett. That's that Kaminoan is the same one that appears in this episode. And then he orders her to kind of collect Omega at the kind of rendezvous point. And then it's in an abandoned city, facility called Barrovito, I think you pronounce it, and orders to terminate her after receiving the material from her DNA, and then basically to kill her or destroy her after that. I thought it was similar to Moff Gideon a little bit in the Mandalorian, extracting Grogu's DNA, that kind of thing for cloning, purposes. And we still don't 100% know exactly what phase 3 is. It's for them to continue their existence, to continue their relationship with the Empire, to continue, a new form of clones or cloning. We don't exactly know when that is. Is that connected to anything we see in the future? We're not sure yet. But yeah, so your thoughts on the overall episode of this, particularly the stuff on Kamino and the discussions around Omega.
Yeah, we learned with Omega that she's a Generation 1 clone, so she's like they say she's an exact clone of Jango Fett, but then also she's a female, so I wonder exactly how that worked there. And I'm sure there's probably some like extra different than what we'll find with whatever phase 3 is. But she's a Generation 1 clone, very important, does not have an inhibitor chip. I don't think Boba Fett did either. So they're the only 2 clones that we know of at the moment that never had an inhibitor chip. And so that's very interesting. They want to use her DNA. That's very Moff Gideon, Mandalorian there. It's like, what exactly, other than being Generation 1, and we learned in an earlier episode that Jango Fett's DNA is kind of like, it's not lasting. They don't have, like, it's not exact anymore, that they're having trouble making more clones, which really the thought process is like, we know as Star Wars fans that they become stormtroopers. So is it that the Empire no longer wanted clones, or is it because they don't have the DNA, the proper DNA to make clones anymore, because it's for whatever reason it's not working anymore? So that's the biggest question I had in that moment. There is like, okay, what exactly is the reason that we switch over to stormtroopers, and what is so special about Omega other than just being a Generation 1 clone?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, they do explain a few times that they've kind of reusing his DNA over and over again. It's less original to the source, basically. So they need the closest thing, which is Omega and Boba Fett, basically. So Boba Fett's gone missing at this current time, so Omega is the closest thing that they have to the original Jango Fett DNA. But yeah, as well, just the kind of Kamino way of life and the Kaminoans, because in Legends, they were cloning they've cloned several different species. They cloned themselves, because originally Kamino was like I believe it was a forest planet, but due to like something like some kind of environment disaster or some kind of worldly event, like it became like a water planet. So they used a cloning facility on themselves to help adapt to that facility. So all this stuff is in Legends. So I know people, like with the whole kind of Mandalorian and season 7 of the Clone Wars, we've got so much backstory of Mandalorian culture and things like that. I would love their story, of any civil wars they've had. And they've had definitely interesting definitely interesting speeches and backstories. I'd love to see more of that. But anyway, back to the episode. Omega then offers to help Toto 360, that's the droid. Leg, as this, Hunter shot it off in the last episode. So is explained that, she's worked on other droids before, which is AZ3, I believe, which is we see in the Clone Wars as well, that particular droid that she worked on, which helped kind of repair Echo when he came back in Clone Wars season 7, when the Bad Batch kind of helped him return back. So she has experience working with droids, so she kind of tricks the droid in letting her go. And she kind of works on that. And then we cut to the Bad Batch, where Tech is kind of doing his checking and Echo on Cad Bane, who's obviously took Omega, and they explain that he's prominent in the Clone Wars. He's plenty of run-ins with the Jedi and tried to abduct Chancellor Palpatine. Tech tells him that they've then, as you've said, they've then checked on Omega's DNA a bit further. They established she's a first generation clone via obviously Jango Fett. And there's obviously one or two in the galaxy. They've had a debate, on or conversation about Boba Fett, explaining that it's an unmodified clone, and every clone since then, their DNA is altered to be more obedient and for them to age quicker, for them to use them as soldiers and things like that. So and then Tech discusses. Yeah, they have the conversation about Boba Fett, and then obviously more questions like, will he show up? He's getting mentioned now in a few episodes, and Omega and Jango Fett. Will we see this? Obviously, Cad Bane, who's kind of his arch rival from a certain point of view. So, and then they realize that Kamino put the bounty on her. So then we cut back to Omega, who obviously is with Toto 360, and they're kind of fixing his leg, and they kind of puts him to sleep. She then finds her comm links to communicate with the Bad Batch. And then Cad Bane kind of lands on Borovito, and then, which is the old Kaminoan abandoned facility. Omega escapes and then kind of makes contact with the Bad Batch. They can't really hear her. They need to boost the signal, so she needs to find somewhere in the facility to boost the signal. We hear blaster fire in the background as Cad Bane shows up, and there's blaster fire around there. And then we see Fennec Shan. She appears, and then we see kind of the other, the Tom Wee, which is the other Kaminoan kind of creature there. Looks like they've shot. Looks like they've been killed. And then we see that. So now we've established, Lana Say has secretly hired Fennec Shan to save Omega from Cad Bane and keep her away from Tom Wee, who's been ordered by obviously Lama Su to extract her DNA. So lots of like you said, like a little bit of a civil war being played out. And I was thinking we'll kind of who will die for Omega here in terms of the Kaminoans, what's their kind of outcome. But yeah, she comes kind of out of smoke and it looks great on this abandoned facility going against Cad Bane. Fennec Shan and Cad Bane, like, wouldn't think watching The Mandalorian I've thought maybe we might see that in live action. We've got it in the Bad Batch now. So yeah, lots of things going on here. But what was your kind of reaction to seeing these two facing off and kind of we've already discussed obviously the Boba Fett mentions and her being a first generation clone.
It was really cool to see them facing off. We saw Fennec Shan in Mandalorian, like she was helping Mando, so in that sense she was a good person. And then we saw her earlier in this season, and we're like, okay, like she is a bounty hunter, so maybe she's not completely in the right. And so she was going after Omega, and we didn't know who had sent her, and we guessed the Kaminoans, but then at the same time it's just like, we didn't know Nala Se, Lama Su, exactly what exactly was going on there. So we see that Fennec is still like, she's good because she's fighting on the side of protecting Omega, where we didn't know that beforehand. I also like the fact that they're like, be nice to droids, people. Because that's how Omega got out. Like, she was nice to the droid. She fixed the droid. She, like, even the droid was like, oh, it does feel like new and everything. And so that's the way you just get through Star Wars, is if you're nice to droids, like, good things happen to you. So just be nice to droids.
Facts, yeah, absolutely. Because they're often seen as like slaves. So, and with their kind of restrainer bolts and things like that. So yeah, definitely right. Be nice to them and they'll probably end up saving you. So and then Cad Bane and Fennec Shan have this fight, which she comes out on top, I felt. And the thing that was a little weird, because he is like a with all his arsenal that he's got on him, and just being a kind of a supreme kind of bounty hunter, that kind of shows what level she's at. Then Omega kind of enters the abandoned facility, where we see kind of half-grown species in not Bacta tanks, but some kind of storage, like
one looks
half-grown
Snoke-like.
clones. Absolutely, yeah, really a bit creepy looking. So, like I said, we see in Legends that the Kaminoans have been altered DNAs with different species and been doing cloning for a long period of time at this point. So they must have a lot of different facilities. They've experienced it on themselves. It looked a little bit to me like one of them, like a Kaminoan thing, but without the neck, like being so long. Like it was really big and really strange looking creature.
Really
and then,
gross. Like when it fell on Fennec, I was just like, that was
I was like, oh, where's this
moment.
going? Is this going to come alive? Like it's going to, it was really creepy. And then Omega kind of boosts the signal to speak to the Bad Batch, and they explain, they kind of locate her signal from there. And then we see Fennec Shan kind of nicely approach Omega to explain that she's here to help. And she's warned her of the Prime Minister Lama Su has something even worse for her, rather than coming with Fennec Shan. Kind of warns her of the potential plot to extract the DNA and kill her. And then Omega's obviously worried she'll turn out. I think that that she's worried that she'll turn out like one of these experiments that she's looking at, like one of these failed clones that they just kind of use and then kind of dispose of. Then we see Toe 360 come in. He kind of arrives, and Fennec kind of kicks him into the tube, which we've said, and where the test clone lands on. Fennec Shan looks really creepy. I thought, just with all the kind of watery gel like leaning, like kind of leaking on it looked really horrible, like really graphic stuff. So that was kind of interesting. And then obviously Fennec runs into Cad Bane again. We see her again kind of take the upper hand. But although we see his full arsenal this time, we see his kind of jetpack booster things that he has on his legs. We see his flamethrower. We see the blaster fire. So that was pretty cool watching them two go at it again. And then Omega kind of takes off in a pod, which begins to crash land as the Bad Batch kind of pick up Omega at that point. Fennec kind of escapes, and then she receives a transmission from Lana Say, who requires an update. She explains that Fennec Shan explains that Omega is with the Bad Batch. So Lana Say then kind of instructs Fennec Shan not to go after her, to kind of drop the bounty from there, as she's safe, as she's not in the hands of Nala Say, who is trying to kill her in effect. And then at this point, Omega, to kind of end the episode, Omega is worried that the Bad Batch will worries to Hunter. She has a discussion with Hunter that bounty hunters are going to continuously chase her to try and abduct her or whatever. And Hunter explains that nobody will. They'll do their utmost to protect them, whatever the cost. So I thought it was quite a sweet moment, and really her reflecting on her not wanting to be one of these failed clones and turn into one of them. But yeah, overall, what do you think of the kind of final fight scene between them? Obviously that weird clone that kind of fell on Fennec Shan, and then the fight scene, the ending fight scene, and then her trying to take off in the escape pod, crash landing, the Bad Batch helping her, and then her having that kind of nice reassuring conversation with Hunter.
The main thing I was thinking about was with the fact that Lama Su wants to get her DNA, extract it, and then kill her. Sorry. And so with that, it's like, okay, you have this problem with Jango Fett's DNA, is that it's running out. Aren't you going to fall into that same problem if you don't keep her alive to then extract DNA later? So that was my main thing, is like, what is this phase 3? That's these last few episodes. That's the main thing. It's like, what is this phase 3? I feel like it's going to be this giant thing, and it kind of has to be now after so much like build up for it. And then I just like seeing bounty hunters, two badass people fighting each other. It was great action scene. Like you said, Cad Bane was full arsenal in the second fight, because I think what we see with Cad Bane throughout Clone Wars is that he always learns from each fight that he's in. And so he's going to bring something more each fight he comes in. So he's fought her at the beginning of the episode. Now he's fighting her again. He's a little bit more, like, he learns very quickly on, like, okay, this is what my opponent is doing. That's why he was so lethal against, like, the Jedi and against other clone troopers, is because he's just that good about learning very quickly on how to fight them. So that was really fun to watch. And then her escaping in the escape pod, I was just like, they're going to catch her. Like, I had that moment. I was like, they're going to catch her. I love that Wrecker was the first one that she sees, because of that bond that those two have with each other. I love anything Wrecker and Omega together. And my niece also, that's her favorite thing. So she loves it. I love it. It's all love here.
Yeah, interesting point you made there about Cad Bane. Like, I distinctly remember him getting the upper hand against Jedi. Like, I remember Obi-Wan at times. Yeah. Like, I remember one distinct episode where he kind of beats Obi-Wan. So it's funny that Fennec Shan can kind of hang with that. So really interesting. But yeah, just to give a summary of the episode, I have a few theories. They're a bit out there, so you're going to have to bear with me.
Go for it. Go for it. Oh.
So who else kind of, I thought, are we going to see maybe go after Omega? Any more throwback characters like Boba Fett, Dangar, Bogz, IG-11, Vader, potentially? These kind of people all out there that we see in later points. So looking forward to see where the story's going, of course. Really excited to see Crosshair again, where he's at physically, mentally, how the Empire are going to deal with him. No clue what's happening really with the overall story plot with Omega, but again, I'm excited, engaged, really looking forward to it. And Crosshair, really, I wonder if he's going to kind of, I'm assuming like the Empire are going to drop him, or want to drop him, or have no longer use for him, because he seems like he can't be a sniper anymore due to his, damage that he's taken. So I can see him maybe sacrificing himself, maybe for the potential Bad Batch, or like the Bad Batch sacrificing themselves for Omega down the line, or Nala Se sacrificing herself for Omega as well. Would there be any team up with Boba Fett? Maybe like a Fennec Shan teaming up with Boba Fett, or maybe Vader coming in, that kind of thing. So lots of exciting things happening. Overall, really strong episode. 8.5 maybe. I'd say it was really up there. 26 minutes. How much can you pack into it? I thought it started off a little slow, the first 10 minutes or so, her kind of just in the prison cell. But as soon as it kind of starts with, on Camino, it just got really engaging. Every scene, action stuff, building the overall lore of Camino and moving the story forward. And it's really, really good at the moment. Really enjoying the last couple of episodes. Thoroughly enjoyed. I hope they keep this tempo up. But yeah, please give me an overall summary, any theories you have, and give it a rank if you want to as well.
One thing we know about Dave Filoni is that he loves taking characters from one of his series and putting it in another series. We saw Ahsoka being the Mandalorian. And I think to the fact that we no longer have like IG-11, we saw his fate in The Mandalorian. I think that would be perfect to see him in this show because it is previous. More Taika Waititi is always good for me. So like just bring him on. I want him to do like all the IG units now. Like I want him to come in, voice so like it doesn't have to be 11, but it would be cool if it was IG-11. I think that we're going to get Rex next episode because he was in the trailers. We haven't seen him yet. He's been mentioned. So I have a feeling like, okay, next episode or the episode
we did have Rex, remember? We did have Rex. We saw him on the Jedi Cruiser.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Might
see him again. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, any other thoughts on theories? Anything like that?
See, I try not to do
because you were right theories about the bounty hunters, right?
So I was right about the bounty hunters. So, not at the moment. I probably will have theories later on, and I want to see Rex again. That's probably why I'm over here. Like, just bring me more Rex. That's probably in the moment.
Long shot, but maybe Ahsoka if they're with Rex because we saw the Martez sisters, right?
Yeah, I was thinking Ahsoka previously. I think if we get Ahsoka, it's not going to be till the very end. Like before I was thinking, okay, we're not going to get Ahsoka. And then I was like, maybe we are going to get Ahsoka. And then now I'm back to, we're not getting her kind of. So like I've been weaving in and out. Yeah. So I'm not 100% sure that we're going to get her in this, but I think we are. If with Dave Filoni, like I said, he likes putting other characters. So I'm thinking maybe an IG-11, another bounty hunter, because he loves to play with those. Probably get maybe some other clone troopers. Like we need to see some that they get the inhibitor chips out. So like I guess that's my, and then maybe we'll see like an actual like other clone that's not Boba Fett. So like we saw this clone, what we assume is a clone, and it very much looked like a Kaminoan without the neck. I think that's where I'm gonna go. We're gonna see like an actual functioning clone of something. I don't know what, but that's going to be my out there theory.
Yeah. Also, we haven't seen Gregor and Wolf yet, who were
right
with obviously Rex in later on in the timeline.
In
but
Rebels,
they seemingly have their inhabited chips removed, so need to see their kind of how that's done as well with them. But that's it, everyone. Thanks for watching. Really strong episode. Put your thoughts in and what your how do you review the episode? Any kind of theories as well, if you've got any. But yeah, really enjoying it so far. Can't wait for next week. Is really pushing forward. So yes, they're absolutely killing this series so far. But please like, comment, subscribe. Check out other videos of Loki, trailer reactions, drop-in reviews. And like I said, this Bad Batch is they're doing something really good at the moment. So thanks everyone for watching, and we'll see you all next week.